Ableton tutorial. It's so lovely to have you here. Big shout out to the YouTube gang. Big shout out to the Patreon gang. I make a point of saying it every time. The support on Patreon really makes a difference. It helps me keep making and sharing stuff like this with you all. So shout out to these awesome folks over on Patreon supporting. Patreon members, of course, will be able to download this entire set when I've finished with today. Right. So what are we looking at today? Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about inspiration to begin with. Sometimes inspiration could hit you like a bolt of lightning. You're standing there cooking dinner and you're like, holy, I've got a great idea for a new thing. But often I find inspiration just happens from sitting down and trying stuff. And one of the ways that I like to try new stuff is to set myself boundaries, to say, I'm only going to try doing stuff with this thing today. So the boundary that I set myself for today was I just want to make a whole track using only one sample. I'm going to turn off everything that you can hear. And this is the sample. And everything that you just heard then was made coming from that sample. So that sample is from a instrument I just made. It's a muted piano instrument that's also available for Patreon members, and you can also just buy it as a one-off instrument. That instrument sounds a little bit like this. Fun to play with, and then it sounds a bit like this when you combine it with a piano as well. So link in the description below if you want to grab that instrument. But yeah, one of the samples that I recorded to make that instrument was this sample. And I thought, let's make an entire track just using this one sample. And I'm not going to go crazy on processing. This is another boundary I'm setting for myself. I'm going to stick with samplers, and I'm including granulator in that. And as far as effects go, I'm just going to really try and keep it to EQs and a little bit of reverbs and delays and stuff. So these are the boundaries. One sample, sort of minimal processing, just using simplers and samplers and granulator and minimal effects. And we're going to try and make a whole track from that. So thinking about making a track, I'm going to try and essentially make 4 voices. A lot of the music that we listen to has 4 voices. You know, you look at a band, you've got guitar, bass, drums, and vocals. Look at an orchestra, you've got the strings, you've got the woodwind, you've got the brass, you've got the percussion. If you're looking at old 4-part vocal music, you've got, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. There's often 4 voices. Maybe I'll do a whole tutorial about why that is and how we can use that piece of information. But so today I'm going to try and make sort of 4 voices. I'm going to try and make some drums, a bass, some kind of a melody, and then some textural pad stuff. So let's start off with the drums. I'm going to start off by bringing in instruments, drum rack. I'm going to drag that on into this space over here, and I'm going to drag that sample onto C1. And it sounds exactly like we'd expect it to sound. I'm at 170 BPM, by the way, if you're wanting to follow along exactly. Let's make a MIDI clip that's, let's make it 4 bars long. Let's make it 2 bars long. No, let's make it 3 bars long. Let's make it 3 bars long. I'm just going to program in something that's going to help us sort of define this kick, something like that. Right. Okay, how's that sounding? Cool. Right, I'm going to right click and turn this into simpler to drum sampler. I can see it's just off screen, but yeah, simpler to drum sampler. And now it looks like this. And I'm going to use the effects here. I'm going to use the pitch envelope. I'm going to switch this to gate mode. And we're going to make it, do something like this. Maybe a bit shorter on the decay. And let's pitch it down. Can we go 3 octaves? Yeah, I quite like that. What happens if it's 2 octaves? Oh, let's do this. Let's add a little bit of transient to that. So audio effects, drum bass, we'll just add a little bit of transient. What? Down an octave? No, I liked it where it was before. Here we go. Let's go halfway. No, it needs to stay in key. It needs to stay in key. Let's leave it there. That'll do. Right. Let's duplicate this by pressing Option, clicking and dragging, and making a snare drum. Let's program in a snare drum over here, and let's do that kind of like this. Maybe on this kick drum actually is to bring... Yeah. Yeah, now on this, let's use the noise here, and let's come back here. That's quite loud. Let's turn it down a bit. quite like that. What happens if this starts a little bit later? There we go. A little bit shorter. Cool. We've got a kick and a snare. Right, let's make some kind of clicky stuff to go along with this. For this, I'm going to use Granulator. I'm going to go Instruments, Granulator. Let's drag that over here. And again, we drag in that same sample. And instead of programming in MIDI now, this time I'm going to use a sequencer. So let's go MIDI effects, SQ sequencer. Come on, in here. Cool. I'm going to turn those drums off for now. And we can see this triggering a bunch of stuff over here. Super nice. But let's change a couple of things. Let's make it so that the key is controlling not the pitch, but the sample position. So I'm going to click on transpose, turn key all the way down to 0 here. Going to come back here. Going to bring the position down here. I'm going to turn key to be something like that. Let's randomize it. Too much. Okay, this is quite nice. Let's change the grain size to be quite short. Shape, no. This is nice. And now let's come in here with the envelope here. Let's make it super clicky. This is nice. Add a bit of spread. Okay, cool. Let's OTT that. Multi-band dynamics, OTT. Come on, come on. There you go. Too long on the release here. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Right, now let's add some effects to that. For this, I'm going to use an effects rack that I've already made. It's a link in the description below if you want to grab this. It's a 4-tap granular delay rack. Cool. That's doing some interesting stuff. Nice. How does that sound with the drums? And we can change the pattern here. I want to make it just a little bit shorter on this. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Let's make a bass line. Let's bring in a simpler, instruments simpler. Let's drag in that sample. And let's program in something. I'm just going to make it again 3 bars long to go with the drums. Okay. Let's go for something like this. Maybe down here. Yeah, how does that sound? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's do some stuff with this sound. Let's make it start in here. Turn the loop on. Bring the length all the way down. Cool. We need to bring the level up. Sustain down. Cool. Let's maybe gain this up a bit. Let's use... Can it go down an octave? What happens if I turn this down an octave? Oh, I really like that. If you're listening on laptops, maybe you can't hear that, but there's some super nice bass happening. Right, let's bring in a little bit of saturation. We'll use a raw. Let's add a bit more attack. This is nice. Bit of low pass. Okay, super nice. Nothing too complicated there on the bass. Right, let's add a kind of let's add a melody. So let's go with another simpler instruments. Simpler. Gonna again drag the sample in. Let's use a sequencer for this again. So SQ sequencer. Let's solo that so we can hear what's going on. Let's bring this down to be eighth notes and dotted eighth notes. Yeah. Cool. Let's randomize the notes and the velocity. Let's bring in a scale device. And so that thing that I just did before, the bass was kind of like in an F minor, so we can make it F Dorian. So let's go F Dorian. F Dorian. Cool, let's add some release. Cool, let's add some random panning. Too much, too much. Let's constrain the range of the randomizing a bit. Cool, let's actually pitch this up an octave. How's that going to sound? Yeah, cool. Right, let's do something with the frequency and the velocity. So bring the frequency down, but add... Yeah, a little bit more. Oh, this, yeah. Cool. Right, let's do a little bit of processing on this. Let's first of all add a little bit of reverb. Audio effects, hybrid reverb. Where have you gone? Hybrid reverb. Nice. Let's take off a bit of the top end on that. Okay, now after the hybrid reverb, let's add a pitch hack. We're going to use this to do some reversing stuff. Let's set it to be 100% wet, reverse at 50%. And let's recycle some of the reversing's as well. Maybe actually... No, I like that. I like that. I like that there. Cool. And let's add a beat repeat after that as well. Beat repeat. Could stay as mix, but let's add a filter and let's turn the volume and a bit more variation. And chants down. Cool, how does that sound? Cool. All right, let's add some pads. Let's add some texture. So for this, I'm going to use a granulator. Let's go instruments granulator. And I'm going to drag that sample in again. And for this, I'm going to use expressive chords device, MIDI effects, expressive chords. Come in here. Let's bring in another scale device. And let's make this again F Dorian. F Dorian. Cool. Now, granulator, we're going to make just something that hits C1. So this is now sending, this is sending the notes to the expressive chords device. Let's make it 3 bars long, so it's changing when the bass resets itself. So this is going to change the note being sent to this expressive chords device. So at the moment, it's going to trigger this note. So let's add a random in front of it. So now we're going to get a new random chord once every 3 bars. Right, let's press play on that and let's solo it. Yeah, okay, so now we can see it generating a bunch of stuff, but we're not hearing anything. So let's bring the position all the way back here. Already that's quite nice. Let's add it, turn it to cloud mode. This is super nice. Add a little bit of spread. Yeah, I think this would be nice if we transpose it up, actually. No, actually, I think it was nice where it was. Yeah, let's do a little bit of EQing on this. Audio effects, EQ8. Maybe slightly longer on the grain size. No, shorter. Yeah, super nice. Right, let's take out some of the bottom end on this. And let's do something with an echo on this. So we'll just grab an echo in here. Character, we're going to turn repitch off. I want this about here. I'm going going to bring in an LFO because I want to turn this off. I want to turn some feedback up, and now I'm going to randomize this. We're going to get some nice, some sort of glitchy stuff happening there. But because it's a little bit dry wet, let's add a bit of reverb to it. Super nice. I really like this. Let's add one more layer. That's just like every now and then it's going to add a little bit more to the texture. That's sort of, so let's bring in another simpler instruments, simpler. Bring it over here. Drag in this sample again. Let's solo this for now. Let's just create something that's one bar. Any note will do for this, for what I have in mind. So let's put in that note. Let's right click. Let's reverse the sample and let's make it start sort of over here. Bring in an expression control and a note length so I can randomize how long this is going to be. So I'm going to turn this to random, turn that to that, turn that to that. Cool. So now each time this plays, yep, we're getting a random length. Let's add a little bit of release to it. Yeah. Let's add a random in here. So it's going to randomize the note. And then let's add the scale device to that as well. F Dorian. And let's add a spectral blur at the end of that. So it's going to just give us these sort of hanging around textures. Spectral blur, where have you gone? Spectral blur. Yeah. Right, and let's make this happen not nearly so often. So let's bring the chance down to like, I don't know, like, yeah, 1 out of every 5. Cool, let's do a little bit of connecting stuff. So that's our bass. Yeah, this is the medley. Let's sidechain this a little bit to the drums. So let's use an audio effect compressor. And we're going to turn sidechain on, external. We're going to select number 12, drum rack. Yeah, so that's now going to duck behind the drum rack. Super nice. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to copy paste that. So option, drag that onto the pads. Super nice. I'm going to randomize the panning on this granulator thing. So to do that, I'm going to bring in an expression control, MIDI effects. Expression control needs to come after the sequencer. And let's bring in a utility device. Utility, and that's going to go, yeah, after the OTT. No, actually before the OTT, straight after the granulator. Actually, can I just do that in the granulator? Is there a pan in here? No, I'm going to do it outside. So let's set to there. Let's turn this to random, bipolar, random 100%, and we're going to map that to over here. Yeah. Tell you what, I'm going to change the effects track on here. I put my 4 tap granular delay on there. That's this. I'm actually going to switch that out for another effect track that I made, sort of much more glitchier thing. I think that's going to be some cooler textures. Live glitch stretch. Yeah, cool. Let's turn the effects down a little bit. What is it? What if it's both of them? Oh, this is nice. Cool. I said I wasn't going to go crazy on the processing, but then I brought in the glitch track. Yeah, there we go. Whole track just made from that one sample. I had a lot of fun doing this. Hope you got inspired. Try it with a different sample, try it with any old one shot, and you get some super cool results because you're not heading in a direction, but instead you're allowing yourself to follow the cool stuff that's coming. Thanks for being here. See you next time.